Hello, Andrew D here, and welcome to season 67 of the Sunday Chill races. Before you get all upset, I am not the commentator for this series. It's just that the race spectator to capture the race was not run, and I saw a chance to put the replay capture to use. And until I get a commentator to use these videos, I'm it. Also, I wasn't in this race, so thanks to Scott Nick for getting me the replay files. We are at Autodrom Most in the Czech Republic, racing the DTM 95 series. I think the series is limited to the Mercedes C-Klasse cars. We have 15 cars today on the grid, not a huge field, but big enough for a decent race. And as we don't have qualifying in the replay, I'm going to have to trust that the listed field order is correct. It can be wrong, especially if the staging boxes are not staggered, but I think it's okay here. In any case, we'll just step down through the field to see who's here. Okay, as usual, we have drivers from around the world, which means that there's going to be some names that I completely butcher. Starting with the guy on pole, a name I don't recognize, or a driver I don't recognize, Gerazimo Castle. I think I'll just call him Castle. One of our regulars, Dennis Johnson. Matthew Lehman, a name I'm not sure I recognize. He might be an ESR. Definitely a regular, Mauricio Delgado. Another regular, Richard DeRoche. Masiek Kazak, not a name I know. Michael Kral, I think I've seen that around a bit. Steve Davidson, a definite regular. Martin Edmonds, one of the admins. Takahide Maruka, who's seen about here and there. Scott Nick, another regular. Zach Wolf, relatively new guy. Durlon the Iceman, I think I saw him in the Discord, but he's pretty new. Patrick Zero, a random I believe, and I can't seem to get to the last car, but that is Sven Berkmeyer, and that's our grid. Okay, we're up in the control tower waiting for the race to go. Couple of people moving a little bit on the grid, but no one gets a penalty, and we are off, as far as I know anyway. Coming into the first turn, can be a bit messy. Oh, and we have one who slid off into the infield. I think that's Martin Edmonds. Castle's got himself a decent lead already through that first couple of corners. Oh, Sven does a big slide, hits the wall pretty hard. I bet that engine is done, given that he's not trying to go anywhere. Yeah, and I see Sven is in the pit. Pick up the story now with Martin Edmonds. He's duking it out with Zach Wolf and Takahide. Delgado on the tail of Kazak. Looking like he's going for a pass. And I think he's got it done. Michael Kral is in behind Steve Davidson, up in 8th place. On board with Martin Edmonds, who's using the gamepad today. Pretty unnerving, actually. Looks like a bit of a psycho. He's looking away for a way around the Iceman. Not getting it there, though. Another little attempt, but that almost cost him. This time it looks like he's got it. No, he doesn't have it done. Oh, and he's in trouble, and Takahide is off into the infield. He gets the worst of that one. Shot of Scott Nick in that nice red car. And Nick gets around Patrick, I think it is. Right on board with Dennis Johnson, who is up in third place, holding a good position for the moment. I notice Crowell is also in that nice red car. Back with Psycho Edmonds. Still looking for that way around the Iceman. I think Dennis Johnson here is maybe closing in a little bit on Lehman. Back with Michael Crowell. Is he going to take a run at Steve Davidson? No, I don't think so, not yet. So we've got Durlan, Edmonds, and Wolf all in a row. Edmonds is gaining on Durlan. Oh, I think, nope. Yes, he's going to make it. And Edmonds is finally through. That puts him up into 11th place. Dennis is almost within striking distance. Oh yes, Lehman went off a little bit. Johnson gets through. And Roche just behind these two. Now he's eyeing up Lehman. Oh, Patrick is off in the sand again. That's giving, Martin Edmonds gives him a chance to get through, and he takes that. That puts Edmonds up into 10th. And Lehman, is he? Oh, it's Johnson he got around. So Lehman gets his position back from Dennis Johnson. Dennis isn't giving up quite yet, though. Oh, hard to get power on there. Dennis has to correct for it. Now DeRouche is getting up into the mix. It looks like he takes down Johnson. Nice clean pass by the looks of things. Taka down the straight stretch, followed by the Iceman. Oh, and the Iceman runs into Takahide. That's twice Takahide's been taken off the track now. Takahide gets underway. Oh, not sure what that was all about. Certainly a bad re-entry. remember if DeRoche, I think DeRoche had passed Johnson, but Johnson's got it back again. Michael Crowell still hunting down Steve Davidson. Solidly mid-pack right now. Johnson's got a little bit of a buffer. Oh, I speak too soon. Johnson sliding. I think DeRoche may get him again. And he does. Oh, but he's off in the sand. And this time that cost him. Down 3 places, down to 5th. Michael Crowell a little bit closer to Davidson than he has been for a bit. Now we're on board with Steve Davidson, who's actually in front of Crowell. Doesn't seem to be suffering too much under pressure. Kazakh some ways behind DeRoche. Still close enough to be thinking you can catch up and do something though. And Crowell has dropped back somewhat this time from Steve Davidson. I'm not sure what happened there, but he seems to be closing again. So it looks like that problem that Takahide had has put him in the pits, and I see Patrick is out, so we've got 3 out basically now. On board with the Iceman as he's running basically in the final position. Matthew Lehman, one of 2 that are sort of within striking range of the car in front. Although I see DeRoche is now starting to close in on someone. On Delgado. Got an interesting choice of tires today. I didn't realize at first that these cars have at least 2 choices of tires, soft and medium. About 50-50. Choice of tires here. But they're spread evenly throughout the field, so it seems to be a bit of a wash as to which tires you use. Well, DeRoche is coming up quite close to Delgado. I don't think he's in good position here though to take a run at him. A little closer. If he can get a good run here, he could take Delgado. And Michael Crowell is also within striking distance. Back to Richard. He's falling back again, but catching up again. Back to Crowell. Okay, we're up close. Not sure that we have enough yet. Well, we haven't been seeing this fight much, so Lehman is right up behind Castle now. Castle was a little slow getting out of that corner, but he still keeps the lead. Back to Richard, holding on to fifth, still eyeing up Delgado. Let's see if he can do something on this one. No, Delgado is still getting off strong on that corner. Oh, Castle is off into the dirt. This is Lehman's chance, and he takes it. Puts himself in the lead with 3 laps to go. Meanwhile, Richard is still looking for an opening to get around Delgado. Crowell is still looking for a way around Davidson. That's one thing about only having one car in the series. Every time we change cars, they all have the same sound, which is too bad. I thought Richard was going to make a move for it there. Oh, Delgado is off a bit, and that gives Richard his chance that he was looking for. That moves Richard up into 4th. We're on lap 11. A couple of laps left for Crowell to try and get around Davidson, but Davidson's been putting up a good steady fight. On board with Zach, who we haven't seen much of. board with Steve Davidson as he does his best to stay in front of Crowell. And back on board with Crowell as he does his best to get around Davidson. Tail end of lap 12. We'll have one lap after this. Whoa. And Johnson, who's been quietly hanging on to third, and he loses the back end. Oh, this is a disaster for Dennis. At least one car gets by him, but I think he manages to hold off Delgado for the time being. A little slide there as he tries to get it back together. And now we come up front with Matthew Lehman. We're on our final lap. At this rate, it looks like Lehman is going to win it. Couple more turns. Last turn, actually. And Lehman is on the final straight. And he takes it. Castle right behind him. DeRouche in third. Johnson hangs on to fourth. Delgado in fifth. Kazak coming home for sixth. Crowell and Davidson. Oh, Crowell did somehow get around Davidson. We missed that probably because the camera was busy with the leader on that last lap. Scott Nick coming in ninth. Martin Edmonds in 10th. And we've got a bit of a gap back to Zach. Oh, not that far. Last turn. Zach puts in a steady race. Gets an 11th. And Derlon is a few turns back. Here we go through the last two turns. Onto the straight. And Derlon is over. And we catch up to Matthew. He's the winner for this race, and that's the end of race 1. Right, here we go with race 2. As I understand it, the top 8 are reversed. So that puts Scott Nick on the pole, and we are off. We're down to 12 drivers, so we've lost 3. Coming into the first corner. Oh, I see someone sliding. There are a few cars all over the place, but nobody is damaged to the point where they can't go anymore. And through all of that, somehow Steve Davidson got out in front. Scott Nick, who was on the pole, is down to 5th. Richard's down in 9th. I think he was involved in some of the cars that were around sideways, backwards, whatever. Dennis Johnson and Kazakh and Delgado all kind of fighting it out. Powell is eyeing up Takahide. Looks like he's got a decent run on him. Yes, I think he's going to take this. Oh, someone's off in the sand. I think it was Kazakh. Not sure. Dennis Johnson got himself good position again, up into second place. Eyeing up Steve Davidson. He's right on his tail. I don't know why the system thinks he's got a pass, but oh, and Steve Johnson is into the infield. So his second position is down to 8. Oh, and he gets hammered by Edmonds, I think. Still not used to who's in what car. So Matthew Lehman, who won the first race, is now, well, he's just gotten around Delgado. And I think he'll be eyeing up first position again soon. And looks like Delgado gets around Steve Davidson. Well, Steve is off a little bit into the sand. That gives Richard DeRoche a position. Yes, Martin is in the car I thought he was in. Ooh. I think that was Scott who got a little bit loose, a little bit off the track. That's Martin around. Delgado's doing a good job of keeping up to Lehman. Maybe he'll give Lehman a run for his money for the second race. And Richard is in the mix too. And again, I saw Delgado just a bit wide, and I might give Richard the chance he's looking for. And I think he does. Richard's got it. Michael came up on Scott Nick pretty quickly, so I think he'll be looking for a way around soon. And I think he's got it. Now Kral is eyeing up Psycho Edmonds, whose car you can see twitching all over the place. Oh. And that's giving Scott a chance to get his position back, but no, Kral hangs on to it. Oh, DeRoche is up good and close to Lehman. See if he can take a run at Lehman on the straight here. A little peak, but I don't think anything's doing there. Now Johnson's, oh, he's all the way back to the back. He's got his work cut out for him. But he's going to start with Zach. And Zach keeps up pretty close. Normally Zach backs way off when he gets past. So Zach is starting to push a little harder there. Rich is still putting pressure on Lehman. So I did do some checking up on this series. Yes, it is only Mercedes, as Mercedes is actually in the name of the classic cars. That's what happens when you don't do your homework. And these cars can take a choice of 3 different tires, soft, medium, and hard. Don't know if there will be any races where they'll use the hard tires, but it's nice to have that choice. And as we can see again, people are just using a mix of soft and mediums, and they're pretty much even throughout the field in terms of who's using them and where their placements are. So Johnson is now eyeing up, oh, not Johnson, sorry, Kazakh is eyeing up Scott Nick. Oh, Skotnik is off in the rough. Kazakh is too, but he comes out the better for it. But he doesn't have traction, and I think Skotnik's going to take that back. Crowd gets around Edmonds. I think Edmonds just plain backed off. Richard still tight on the tail of Lehman. Dennis is eyeing up Taka Hyde. Little window there. He can get the brakes on and slow down enough without sliding across the road, and I think he's got it. Well, I think Martin Edmonds is game to try and fight it out with Corral. Doing not a bad job of keeping up. Zach is quietly working away, putting in steady races. Driving with a gamepad cannot be easy. It does not look fun at all. Oh, I think Crow was sliding, but no, not enough. On board with Taka Hyde, who had a pretty rough race in race 1, where he basically got knocked off the track 3 times. And Martin has fallen back somewhat from Michael Crowell. He's the only one within a second of anyone else. So I'd say the length of these races is not bad, because we're up around lap 11. The field is just starting to spread out. The race was about half an hour long. The race would be getting spread out even more, and there'd be even less to watch. But I can see further back, Johnson might be catching Kazakh. Might be something to pick up there in a while. Kazakh is wide. He did seem to be sliding through that corner. Martin takes advantage of that, gets himself up into 5th place. Johnson is eyeing up Kazakh, who's been trying his damnedest to catch up to Scott Nick. I think Johnson's got quite a bit of speed on Kazakh. I think he's going to take a run for it here. Nope, not enough. Well, Durlan seems determined to finish the races. That's a good sign. Oh, who's off? Looks like Johnson, I think. Oh, Johnson is around backwards. So his efforts to get back to the front again have failed again. That's a breather for Kazakh, who's been working on Scott Nick. Not having someone on your butt while you're trying to pass someone else is a good thing. Lap 12 though, so not a lot of time to make a pass. But I think he's going for it, and it's a done deal. Final lap for Matthew Lehman. Looks like he's going to win race number 2. And I see Martin Edmonds has just made it up into 4th place too. That's not bad. Driving on a gamepad. Matthew Lehman takes the last turn, heading for that checkered flag, and he's got it, followed by DeRouche and Delgado. Very good finish for Delgado and DeRouche. Martin pulls off the 4th with the gamepad. Impressive. Followed by Davidson, Crowell, Kazakh, and Scott Nick, all in a tight group. Johnson gets across. Takahide still in the race, makes it across. Wolf in 11th position. And the Iceman brings up the rear. But showed fortitude in sticking with the race. And we finish up with our leader. So, hopefully the race was interesting. I don't care about the commentary. I don't want to do commentary anyway. But I'm hoping that this style of covering the race works for people, especially as an emergency for this sort of thing. Anyway, as far as the race final or the points for this race, it doesn't matter. I don't think. I think this was just a exhibition race, so it doesn't count anyway. Anyhow, that's it. Thanks.